Good evening, everyone. I'm going to be really honest with you all. Um, I planned this stream a few days ago, thinking that by the time I would start streaming, I would know what to do in this stream. And the truth is, I don't. I am very much not prepared. The problem is, of course, that the area you're looking at right now is, it's an area that in the original conception of Bollo, it was an area that I never planned to be a habitat at all. And then when I built the path towards the rhinos here, I had this little pocket of space left here. And that is really, truly what I have to fill in. And I think today we're gonna have a short stream, half an hour or something. And I think we're going to be focusing on just making sure that the pathing and everything checks out, that it's all correct, which means this monorail connecting to this monorail, the path to this path, and then we'll see what we do with that little pocket of space. That's it. That's all. Simple stream. So even if nobody's watching, it's just a bit of busy work for me. It's just something to do late this evening. I have my wonderful 1 month-old son sleeping right next to me. He looks peaceful for now, so should he wake up, I'll be sure to mute the microphone to spare you the crying of a poor 1 month old who thinks the world is ending because he's not filled with milk. So we're going to start with this here, edit track, and first of all, actually no, I'm wrong. We need to edit the track at the whole other end, at this end. Because the goal is for the palaces to, both of them actually, to have the monorail track running through them, and one of the two monorail stations will have as a secret function, more or less, to be a monorail station. So the whole monorail is pretty ugly, I'm not going to lie. It's not a beautiful design at all. But at this point, I no longer care that much about the beauty of this project, but it being finished. And the biggest step I will take towards it being finished is getting over the psychological, what should I call it, psychological torment, really, of having deleted a portion of it that felt like a culmination of months of work heading towards it. So this needs to be going to the right, and then it needs to rise up just a bit to, this height seems fine. No, it's bending, it's curving too much. Let's have it like this. And then make it level again. Is this too tall for what I'm planning? I'm not sure. Maybe I need to stop comparing it to what was here before. Actually, guys, I think now that I'm looking at this, I'm not prepared enough to be doing this. I'm going to be filling in the empty habitat to the right here. That's what I'm going to be doing here. And the plan for this habitat is for it to contain the jackal. This is a modded animal, but this is an obvious savanna animal living in Africa. And just to do a little bit of research towards the black-backed jackal, they live in clearly very separate, distinct zones, mostly sub-Saharan Africa, as you can see, then around the drier East African areas here. So this is rainforest where they do not live And then here again, in southern Africa, a very large population of them. Their habitat requirements, if we want all 6 of them in here, they will need this 1,100. I have the nasty habit of building habitats that are way too big. So let's just do a little trick that I've learned from a couple of creators, and that is just in general try and calculate the size of that this habitat needs to be. So we're going to grab some walls. It really doesn't matter which ones. And with the knowledge that each of these walls is 4 meters, we can work with that, right? So, oh, that is a panel. Let's grab an actual wall, right? So we know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, so that is 40 times 40. This is already too big. This is 1,600 meters, right? If you catch my drift, if we remove this, we'll get a 40 times, what is it? 40 times 32, and that is pretty much the size of habitat we need to be looking at. So, right? So if you just complete this box, not that we're going to aim for this habitat to be the shape of a square, but we know that if we build generally within this box, we'll have a habitat that is big enough for the black-backed jackal. That is the general idea, and it is some just a creator's trick that I've seen and that I've learned that really, you know, is useful for a person like me who tends to build way too big. So this will obviously be removed when all is said and done. So we know that we'll be orienting this habitat here-ish, right? Very much like the warthog habitat that is over here. Let's see if a couple of them are out and about. It is a sunken habitat with just these mud walls separating them from the antelopes. Realism be damned, there's nothing keeping the antelopes from jumping in here. At this point, honestly, I will forgo the realism. I don't care that much. And same for here. I think here I'm going to add a couple more barriers, but it's still going to be a sunken habitat with the backdrop of the antelopes. First thing we're going to do, very simple, is make sure that there's a shelter for the jackal. And again, we're going to be doing it pretty much like the warthogs here, just a wooden shelter hidden under the guest path. That is the goal. So if you're expecting a elite tier Planet Zoo building when it comes to the shelter, please look away. It will not be anything of the sort. Let's already be sorting out the null barrier, so we can get that out of the way. I'm going to use the one that is already present here, and let's just take this one here. Alright, doesn't need to look like the actual shape of the habitat because we're going to be building within this box. So as long as your null barrier surrounds the entirety of your habitat, you know, it will function. So this is now a complete habitat. Obviously it's going to be way too big now. I mean, it's pretty decent. We'll be calling this the black-backed jackal. Their models in the game are pretty small, so I was thinking the way to make this look attractive is just going to be, I think this path is going to go sort of into their habitat and go inside like a rock cave tunnel-ish with these curved viewing glasses to the side to really get you inside the habitat. Kind of, but not entirely like this one I made, but not quite, right? Where you have these tunnels inside the African wild dog, you know, and also sort of related to this one. That's what I've decided upon, because I was really not sure what to build for this, but this is what we're going to have to be doing. So I think we're going to be starting with placing a path, a smaller one than let's say we're going to be wanting it here. And have it curve a little bit along with mud walls. And then we want it to connect to this 6-meter path. And I hope it's going to offer me an automatic way to do this. It does. We're also going to, at the same height as this path, which is pretty much this, at the other end, placing a path here-ish, and then we will make sure that these two paths connect as well. You know, that's the general idea. These paths, of course, we're going to be wanting some more protection here for the guests. And then we are going to be taking these glass, what am I looking for again? It's modern glass, and it has this curved look. Let's see if I can find it quickly. I am looking, of course, for... Did I imagine that piece and the whole concept of this habitat suddenly fall apart? It's like a roof. Yeah, it's this one. It's an arch. Okay. Hang on, I thought this existed in normal glass pieces. Did I make that up? Does this not exist in normal glass pieces? Did I make that up? Okay, let's take a look at all the arches, because I feel like it exists, and I'm having a bad dream. I feel like I even made the habitat that I'm describing. Hang on, is there not a modern glass arch shaped like this in the game? Now I'm very confused. Okay, let's go to material, make it glass, and look at the pieces that are available to us. Could we be doing something with this though? This is actually pretty exciting. Okay, let's find a human being in this zoo. There's a couple of them still left. Like this good sir here. If I sink this into the ground like this. Alright, that's perfect actually. Yep, we're gonna be using this. That is actually much better than what I was planning to do. This is going to be our tunnel. So for the parts of the path that are just this width, we'll be using this piece. And then it's not going to be perfect because we're going to be covering up parts of this with rock. So we don't need perfection at all. We just need something that looks, immersive. So looks like you are amidst the jackals. It now, of course, occurs to me that I'll be needing to build the jackals a bridge to pass over the guests, which is also something I'll be doing. I cannot guarantee you that I'll be doing all of this in this stream. Pretty much as soon as I feel too tired to continue, I'll be hitting the bed, or as soon as if my son there has a little meltdown in his crib, I'll go and assist him as well. But that is the general idea, is that you come down here. Oh, that's not the button I needed. That if you come down here, like this, you enter this tunnel and you see jackals over there and jackals over there. And since you decided to not pay for the Jeep ride, you also don't get... Oh, that's actually really cool. Pause shot of the Gemsbok. But you don't get to see that part of the habitat anymore until you come up here. So, same for the Jeep, of course. If you're in the Jeep, you look to your right and you think, hey, that looks cool. Hey, Dad, can't we go on the walking tour as well? That is the general idea of what I'm doing, if you catch my meaning. So I'm just gonna look at my reference material real quick to see how all of this is lining up. Yeah, that checks out. All right, it's time to start adding these mud walls, and I'm very proud to say I made these myself. Actually, no, I'm gonna do the smart thing and delete these barriers for now, because I want to work with the terrain, and for that null barriers are kind of a deal breaker. So these have to go for just a little bit, because I want the terrain to be pushed back quite a bit here. So we'll lower the size, lower the intensity. Okay, let's actually up the intensity a little bit. I want this to be more vertical, more hollowed out, so that the mud walls actually look like they are the wall and not, sunken into the wall. So we'll actually sink this down quite a bit. We don't really need it to look like terrain at this point, because the mud wall will do all the work there. Right. Lucky for us, this is already curved in the right way. I think we'll be needing to do some further pushing of the terrain actually, but we can do that easily in just a bit. All right. We want to see a little bit more of these mud walls, obviously. Such a classic staple of the Planet Zoo game, honestly. I remember it's sort of entering the meta, if you could say, right? So it's sort of entering the consciousness of Planet Zoo players. I cannot tell you who really, invented these, but at this point they're such an almost a cliche really to be putting into your zoos, but they just look so cool. You see them almost more in Planet Zoo than you see them in real zoos, but it doesn't matter. It just looks cool. It looks like an obvious part of the Planet Zoo ecosystem, right? This section is not going to be a habitat. It is going to be sort of a planter box kind of thing to separate the two habitats. If you're walking here, you need to really have the transition from the warthogs to the jackals and sort of block your view of this just a little bit. So yeah, that's the idea. I shouldn't forget to be adding the shelter. I almost forgot, but I can make the shelter out of, I can make a shelter out of rocks. We have a chatter in chat. We have Eerie or Airy, or I'm not sure. There's an accent there, and they are sipping coffee. I hope you're enjoying this. It's intended to be a very chill stream of consciousness stream. Don't expect any genius to happen today. I'm just building Bollo, the parts of it that I deleted, as you might have gathered, the parts of them that I accidentally deleted. And Bollo is nearing completion, if you can believe it. And I've sort of abandoned detail in favor of just getting it done, if you understand. Hi there. So yeah, I got some chill tunes, copyright free, because, well, I sort of made them, generated them. and wrote the lyrics. Anyway, let's actually grab some of this terrain mulch in the gardening tab. Mulch. Doesn't really matter which size at this point, because we're just going to be filling out this, let's say this height. Let's make it a bit higher. And as soon as it's under the path, you don't really need to take care of the visual of it anymore, because the guests don't ever see it. So I'm not going to be bothering with the other side of this. But I'm thinking of what kind of plant should I put in here. Should it be lush vegetation, or should it reflect the vegetation of these two habitats? I'm thinking. I'm thinking something more tall. Let's go for an old classic of the Planet Zoo game. Let's actually use some elephant grass. It's been a while since I used elephant grass. Mostly because it's a very bright color, and if you see Bollo, you can obviously tell that it is supposed to be dry and arid, so it doesn't really fit. But also because I think Frontier has really elevated their game in so many aspects, including their plants, and it just doesn't look as good as some of the other grasses in the game. But still, elephant grass is the basis of this little planter box, and I feel like in the middle, let's go for some variation in color and be adding some of these reeds. And we might be popping a little tree in there. Why not? Not one of those, but let's see what African trees do exist that I could be fitting in here. Continent Africa, not a reed. We're looking for foliage type, a tree. What trees fit in here? Not a pine tree. That's really not fitting. Not a baobab tree. That's a bit silly. Nope. Candelabra. Perhaps. Mangrove. The yew tree. That's a bit of a vibe, but I don't know. Maybe it's a bit. Maybe it clashes a bit too much. The cork oak tree is a great tree, to be honest. Custard apple, doom palm, a fig tree, dragon's blood. Hang on, this is okay. Dragon's blood tree is an option. Hook thorn, excuse me. Yeah, not bad. This is a front runner. I might just go with my old favorite, the Mpingo tree. If you watch my videos, you know I'm addicted to this tree, and I have to be honest, it once again looks like the best option. Oh, hang on. My wonderful baby son is stirring right next to me. I might need to hop off in a bit. I'll be gone only for a few minutes if that is the case, but still, I understand if you want to hop. Hey, this is nice. This is a vibe. I think we found a winner. No, not this one. This one. Should I make it higher or lower? Okay, maybe that's a bit too low. Now, as a guest, you have to walk into this very... I'm not sure if all the guests will appreciate walking into this sort of pink phallus-shaped object. You approve of the Mpingo tree? Yeah, it is a great tree. It's almost too good, so I use it sparingly, because if this wasn't a great place for it in the cheetah habitat. But I think the sausage tree is the winner. But I just want to quickly gauge the size of my staff. Let's grab someone who works in the staff, because my zoo is completely empty of guests and almost completely empty of animals at this point, because I'll let you guys guess the frames per second of this zoo. It's pretty okay since I removed all of the animals in all of these habitats except for these ones, and all of the guests. So I'll let you guess the frame rate of the zoo. But I want to see if this sausage will hit this poor man in the face if he walks here. That's too low, right? We need to give the sausage some space. We're going to have to ensure that as guests walk here, they won't be assaulted with mysterious sausages. This seems like appropriate sausage room. Wouldn't you agree? But I still appreciate the fact that the tree's hanging over the path like this. Right? Yeah, I think we're going with the sausage tree. Anyway, that's a lot of time spent now on the planting here. I think since it clashes so much with the habitat to the left, I think the obvious step here is to make sure that this habitat contains a mixture of these plants. And also we're going to connect the vibes by adding my favorite plant in the game still to this to sort of bridge the habitats after all. You know, because you're going to be on a jeep ride as well, and we still want that connection. What if we can have it like popping out of the wall kind of over here as well. And then the smallest nitraria. Is it called nitraria? I usually just type NIT and I find it. It is called nitraria, yes. Alright, I know something. Let's have a couple of those over here. Alright. So, alright. It already feels a bit more based in the rest of the zoo. Yeah. I don't know, what is actually the function of the sausage tree? Of the sausage tree's sausages, I mean. Are these like the fruits or the seeds or the... Why don't we look that up together? Can I take you along for this trip? I don't really know how streaming works, to be honest. Can I capture sausage tree? There we go. What is a sausage tree? Alright, flowering plants. They do grow these sausages, but I've already seen a quite problematic word in here. It is a poisonous fruit that is up to 60 centimeters long. So I don't just hope that they don't fall on guests' head. I hope my guests don't eat the sausages. Let's put it that way. But yeah, again, Bollo has always been a mix between realism and complete fantasy, and I think in this case we're going to pretend that the sausages are completely harmless and that my guests will not perish, or the animals. What a good point, Eerie. Oh, as a zookeeper, I should obviously be thinking of the animals, but well, I think I have another sausage tree somewhere in this zoo. Is it here? There is a sausage tree somewhere in here. But you know, let's just say that Bollo has done some genetic engineering and has disabled the poisonous aspect of the sausage tree. Anyway, guys, I've bored you with the sausage tree at this point. We're going to start building the rocks that make this tunnel, and I have a lot of colors in terms of rocks, but I think what do I think? Maybe I should try to go for a mixture of savanna and this beige color. Let's see how that pans out. So we're going to be grabbing this color first. Just copy this color code. And then we're going to be grabbing the faux rocks, good old faux rocks. And why don't we just start with this as a basis? This seems like an obvious place to start it. I don't know quite yet how I will protect my guests from jumping into the jackal habitat, but that's a later problem. That's a future Yelbu problem. I won't be doing that in this stream, for sure. Hang on, that doesn't look like it. There. Now it changed. Okay, now we have that color sorted. Let's grab one of those and put them at the end as well. And then just maybe add another one here. And really make sure that there's no gap in the glass here. And I'm fairly certain that is the case. Yeah. And you're not bumping your head either. Great. Okay. This might just also serve as the platform. Why don't I do that now? Not it's in nature tab. Why don't I already think of sort of the platform for these jackals to traverse? I wonder if they can get up these steps. Why don't we add some jackals to the habitat? I think that's a fair way to... If you're wondering about the traversable terrain in your habitats, only one way to really be sure of it, and that is to add the animal in it. So it's gonna take a while because the zoo is huge, and you know, I don't have a lot of trade centers, so somewhere over here a worker is grabbing the jackal and is beelining it over here. While we wait, let's make sure. I think we're gonna go grab the smaller of this cladding, this. I'm just adding it on top of this. Anyway, this has to be traversable, right? And then, of course, as far as a way for them to get down, I might sort of go down here in a little bit of a curve. Not too steep. Of course, I know how finicky the traversable terrain function is in this game. So I might just be setting myself up for failure. I might just be doing that. Wait, it's random rotation is on, alright. Hang on, you know. Guys, I told you I didn't plan ahead for this build, but if you do that, this looks a bit weird, right? And if I build rocks under this, you can barely see anything. So I think we'll have to be building this out of a different material, at least the ramp. The ramp shouldn't be rock. The ramp should be a bit more of an unnatural wood, I believe. Again, there's a jackal in here. You already get a sense of how small they are. So we'll not be building something much bigger than this, because this is a rather small model. This is a mod, in case you didn't know. A pretty beautiful mod, I have to say. Based on probably what I believe is the Dole model from the Asian Animal Pack. But it's you know, it's a pretty damn good mod for a iconic African animal. And I think, you know, if you're a guest and you're over here, and there's 6 of those in here, you get your money's worth. All right. Let's just grab the something made out of wood. We need something we can make a platform out of. We could just go for just these sticks panels, but I'm not going to jump the gun. Maybe there's something more beautiful. These planks are nice. I feel like I remember there being a piece. Aha, this is nice. All right. Give it a darker vibe. This is a pretty nice color already. Okay, let's do this and build them a little platform. And then we're going to be grabbing this, turning it into a group. This might not be. Now that I'm doing it, I think it's a bit ugly. It might just be a bit ugly what I'm doing. It's going a whole very big part of this habitat at this point is going to be a wooden bridge. I'm not sure if I like it. I might just scrap this whole idea. Again, this is a stream where I'm sort of planning does this look decent? I don't even know. Okay guys, I'm not doing it at all. I'm completely scrapping this idea and I'm building a tunnel under. Yep, that's what we're doing. We're building a tunnel. Do I have to sleep? Well, here's the thing. If you have a young kid like I have at the moment, sleep is relative, and the time when you have to sleep is really not it's not necessarily night. I usually stick around late at night so that my girlfriend gets some sleep, and as soon as my son here wakes up, then I'll go upstairs with him, so she gets like an hour and a half of some sleep without a baby claiming her very existence. That's how that goes. So same thing goes to you, by the way. I don't know who you are exactly. I have an idea. But you should be in bed as well. It's a school day tomorrow. Get yourself to bed. Do your homework. Anyway, let's dig a small tunnel. Oh, I know. I have a better way of building a tunnel. What am I doing? Let's make this rather deep. Put a path in here. Not possible. Terrain modification failed. Can I now? It's not working the way I want it to. Let's try something else. Can you believe it? This is going to be one of the first times I'll ever build a tunnel under a path. Ah, it's Noah. Alright. Yeah, I'm enjoying it, but I will tell you, having 2 kids is crazy. It's intense. So I enjoy the few hours I have to myself, and even now I'm not alone, of course. I have the little baby boy there to my right. So for those who are wondering what's going on, I have one of my actual students who left a few messages in chat, because I am a teacher, but currently I am on parental leave for the rest of the school year to take care of my first and second child, second of whom was just born the 9th of April. But we're going to be using the terrain stamp tool for this. Make it at its smallest, sink it into the ground, around here-ish, and then just start removing terrain. Terrain stamp tool, by the way, guys, if you're not aware of its existence, this is like the next level, right? You know what null barriers are. The next step is to know what the terrain stamp tool can do for you. So we have a tunnel. This has now become a raised path, apparently, or oh right, this is the glass tunnel thing. That's kind of stupid that it's in the way of the coyote, the jackals, excuse me. Then we'll have to make sure that they can actually get in here. So we'll make this a bit bigger, we'll make this a bit bigger. And make sure there now is a curve for the jackal, a slope to enter the tunnel. This might really be, I might not going, right, wow. That was a complete fail of my English. What am I doing? No. Let's start again from the top. Well, first of all, this slope can be a bit longer. And then we'll just put it like this, and put it like this, and see if we can sink it down. And then see if we can sink it down again. Okay, and then at the other end, we'll need to repeat this step. Obviously with the slope angled in the other direction. If this is not traversable for them, then I don't know what to do, honestly. I might just be setting myself up for failure once again. Okay, before we do any further adjustments, let's just check what the jackal thinks of this. I'm going to guess at this point that, oh, they can traverse this. Obviously they can escape, but I have escape turned off, so they won't. But this tunnel is already a functional tunnel. We're going to be dressing it up a little bit, sort of hide it from the guests. I think I don't want the guests to really know how the jackal is going to be going from side to side, and also make sure that the traversable terrain for the jackal inside the tunnel is small and narrow. I don't want them to really spend a lot of time in there. At the same time, this is effectively their shelter, so yep. I'm pleased with this idea, so I can remove this ugly thing. This always reminds me of, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm Belgian, but this reminds me of gingerbread. I don't know why. The shape, the general color of it. Let us build the rest of this rock tunnel. Give it that one color again. To connect it to the mud wall. That is very bright. Wow. Can we make it a bit darker? Yep. So for the tunnel walls, we're just going to be using a variation of faux rock pieces. And wherever the tunnel has these round elements, that's where the arches will come into play. Actually, this is one creator who really deserves more attention is called Misaki SZE, which I believe stands for, for Czechia. And she has this really cool habit of creating these towers out of these raised faux rock pieces. And she uses them all throughout her zoo, and it's like their signature piece. And I think it's a really versatile thing to have these randomly rotated nothing too crazy, but just as a basis element. Nope, just this, please. Just as a basic element that you can use in different ways. It's pretty nice, right? You can use it like this to create these walls or outcroppings inside your habitat. You catch my meaning, right? Yeah. Next up, grabbing this and making sure we don't have to look at this glass trim. Not that there's a problem with the trim, but we want it to look like a rock tunnel with glass inserted into the glass rock. So also not too low, because the guests are already at risk if you followed along of being poisoned if they walk under this tree, because these strange things are poisonous. Also very strangely shaped now that I look at them. I think that's just a texture thing, because they are actually more like banana or pear shaped. I think that's just a low quality texture there. Oh, I just realized there's no more music. I can change that. Give me a sec. By the way, I have to say, I'm pretty proud of my son for sleeping pretty well at the moment. My partner is getting a good rest upstairs. So it looks a bit, this, I'm going to have to make sure that the rest of this rock tunnel looks more natural. Because this is almost a bit too... I don't know, I'm going to have to add some more variation in here. Starting here with this rock piece. Make sure that it's randomly rotated. Which I did learn there is a hotkey for, but it doesn't work on my computer. The hotkey, and also the time I pressed the hotkey, I accidentally, my stream died within seconds of doing it, in my very first stream, and my whole internet in my whole house actually died. And for a good while, I thought that I had pressed a hotkey that, I don't know, disconnected my internet or something. I don't know what happened there. I have played around a little bit with some of the settings in OBS, and so far there hasn't been an incident like that anymore where internet died in the whole house for a few hours, you know, even like the TV, the digital TV wouldn't work. So we had to reset the whole modem thingy. It might just have been coincidence, but I think that me streaming and having some settings probably just set way too high or something of the sort crashed my internet. All right, this now. I have the suspicion that this is not going to look as good as I think it will on the inside. First of all, you're clearly going to bump your head into this. This needs to be way higher. And then, yeah, these are all hazards. These are all asking for our zoo to be sued by people bumping their heads. I think we're in the clear now, and you know, this looks like a pretty nice fake rock cave. Do we like this though? That's not very, you know, African, right? I think we're going to have to cover this up with something. So find something that is more themed in the area. Yeah, guys, I told you this is a work in progress. I think I overdid it with the 4 rock arches over here, because you can barely see the habitat anymore at this point, which is kind of the point. So I think we need to be removing a couple of those and think of an alternative, because it's a bit too much at this point. You're better off standing here and watching the jackals, because, you know, this is better. We'll be covering up the tunnel so that the jackals can, you know, walk over it. So this is one of the views you get. It's pretty nice. And then the second viewing opportunity, hopefully the jackals will spend more time here than here. And yeah, I think maybe it's just okay that your view of the jackals is limited. Maybe it adds some excitement. And you know, having said that, you'll actually have pretty decent opportunity to look at them from over here and at the other end, you know. So the tunnel is like the immersive experience, but you can definitely get your fill of jackals from the higher raised environment. And then let's cover up this tunnel entrance. Starting with this cladding, which is, you know, just the basis of our covering up. We do have to be careful though. That the jackal can still enter its tunnel. Can it? Let us check. Where is the little guy? Where is my jackal? Has it escaped? Could very well be the case, as I was distracted, that my jackal... Oh, it was in the tunnel, and we just missed it the whole time. Can you still enter? Yes, he, or I believe this is a she, is fully capable of entering the tunnel. So let's just be lazy, copy paste this and put it over here as well. This might be a bit more tricky in terms of traversable terrain this side, I just have that feeling. But let's see. We are still completely fine. The tunnel works great. And from inside, it looks at the moment like this. So you really don't know that there's a tunnel there. And I'm fairly sure that jackals also burrow, or at least use burrows. So Google is telling me yes, that they can burrow and use burrows for shelter and rearing pups. This is talking about the golden jackal. Does the black-backed jackal burrow? I don't think it does. But yeah, in my zoo, I guess they burrow, right? In Bollo, they burrow. All right. I'm just gonna do a quick save here, and you will be my witness that I'm not saving over another zoo, which is what I did with Bollo. I saved Tierra Encantada, bless its heart, over Bollo. Speaking of Tierra Encantada, I really need to continue building it, and I will, I promise. I'm just really daunted by the prospect of building the jungle that I'm planning to do. Okay. I'm gonna do something quick. I think I want to sort of connect the 4 rocks color a bit more with the savanna. So we're just going to be blending these rocks in here. You know, I'll be adding more plants and everything to make it look more natural, integrated as always. You can definitely trust Yelbu to be adding plants to a habitat. But I just want the color to be more connected to each other. Jackals in the wild don't necessarily live in desert environments. They are definitely a savanna animal. If you're like me, you've seen them in nature documentaries, sort of always pulling the shortest straw, if you could put it like that. Pretty much all the other predators in Africa get their turn before they do. But they are, of course, hunters themselves. But when it comes to their competition, you know, the lion, the hyena, will very often be the first one to get their lion's share. And it's very often jackals have to share their food with the vultures at the end. That's at least the iconic sort of pictures that I remember. Okay, guys, I'm going to quickly take care of my boy, my wonderful boy. So it's a baby break. I'm gonna take care of my son. It's only going to be a few minutes. I'm going to do my parental duties and bring him upstairs. So if you check in in the stream, this is what you'll be seeing. I'm not going to be streaming for much longer after this, but I promise I'll only be gone for a few short minutes. See ya. Actually, guys, he's back to sleep. The little guy's sleeping again. I think I should let him rest for just a while longer. I don't know who's watching this. The viewer that I have might just be me. Oh, hang on, I just connected some dots. I think I know who's watching or who was watching. Anyway, I'm not going to be playing for much longer. I think I'm sort of running out of inspiration as it is. I still need to think of the outside border as well. But actually, guys, I know I keep changing my mind about this, but I'm going to stop the stream right now. I feel like we've started building something exciting here, something interesting. But whatever comes next, I'll be doing in another chill stream like this. Because what's coming next is still quite crazy, especially the palaces. And I will have to prepare myself very well to do it, but I'm going to sign off for now. I cannot declare this habitat, as I have in the past, officially rebuilt, because it's not even officially built at the moment, but I'm going to be logging off regardless. It's been a great chill time to spend with all of you and any of you that really spend time watching. But I'm going to stop the stream for now. I hope you have a nice rest of your day or night or evening. And I will be seeing all of you very soon. Thank you for